Hi, I'm Tony Russo, and this is Brief Introduction from Kates-Boylston, a bonus episode where we speak with people about who they are and what they do. Today, we have Wendy Wiener. Many, if not most of you, already know who she is and what she does. You may not know that she is on our advisory board. We've been running a series introducing ourselves and introducing our advisory board members to our readership and listenership. And this is a continuation of that. And I'm just going to get started because it's a great conversation and I don't want to keep you from it. So here's Wendy and she'll introduce herself.
Okay, so first off, it's important for me to welcome my guests. So I would like to welcome Wendy Wiener and ask you, please, will you introduce yourself to the people who may not know you?
Absolutely. So my name is Wendy Wiener. I am a regulatory death care lawyer, which means that we represent owners and operators of cemeteries, funeral homes, crematories, related businesses, and we also represent the professionals and the other folks that work at those businesses or within those businesses. I have a law firm, WRW Legal. We are 4 lawyers and a full administrative staff. We are licensed to practice law in Florida and in Texas. And we also have a regulatory consulting practice across the country for our clients that have interests in states other than those 2.
And you also do talks. You've given a lot of talks for both legal and kind of like operational talks. I mean, you presented at our business conference last year or the year before. It seems like 1,000 years ago.
Yes, I do a lot of speaking, a lot of education. It is my goal to speak to and to inform and educate my clients and my potential clients. I am one of the 2 lawyers who is a trainer for the CANA Crematory Operator Certification Program. And I speak at some amazing Kates-Boylston events. I speak at CANA events. I speak at conventions, state and national. And really my goal in all of those interactions is to help death care be compliant with their state laws and rules and avoid liability.
It's hard to say use, but there's always some use to take away from your talks. Like they're pointed. It's not just here are some generalities that you may want to keep in mind. And so with that preference, I'm going to ask you some specifics. What do you think is one of the underreported or under considered aspects of funeral service today? Is there something that people aren't paying the kind of attention to that they ought, or that's something that people should pay more attention to?
Sure, absolutely. Fundamentally, in my opinion, the biggest single problem, and I'm using my air quotes that you can't see, but the biggest problem in all of death care is the failure of folks to literally pay attention to what they are doing. So, as I mentioned, it is our single purpose in the world to keep our clients and the industry generally compliant with the state laws and rules. It makes them better operators. It keeps them out of trouble with regulators. And importantly, it keeps them out of the court system. And so one of the things that I think does not get enough attention and that I try to give attention to is arming our clients with the tools that they need to really embolden their employees to give the right amount of attention to every decedent at every step along the decedent care journey so that the operator and the owner avoid liability entirely. A couple of other issues that we've been talking about recently are 2 come to mind. First, how to handle fetal remains. That is a very important topic and one about which most operators do not know a lot because they really have not come into contact with fetal remains until after the United States Supreme Court's decision in Dobbs a couple of years back. As a result of that decision, now fetal remains are finding their way to funeral homes and sometimes to cemeteries with much more frequency. And so Lauren Patine in my office has really become basically the national expert on how that is handled across the country. And she and I have done a number of talks on that topic. So I think that's sort of an underreported area of concern. And then the other area that I don't think gets enough attention because it seems like absolute common sense, but that is to maintain your licenses. Apparently, it's quite easy for licenses to lapse or to be expired and for the operator to just go on operating. And when they do so, they engage in unlicensed practice, which is the biggest hot button issue for regulators and makes regulators a lot of money every single year by way of the fines that are levied.
There are there are two things I'd like to comment on there. On the lapsed licenses, what's always so I cover, I read the funeral news every day. So unfortunately, I get all of these, I get a lot of botched cremation stories, but a lot of, people who, when they get caught doing something else wrong, also their license is expired, and it does kind of reflect badly on the regulators as much as on the funeral directors, because 80% of the time it's just I forgot to fill this out, but 20% of the time it's like I was trying to get away with something, and I think that you look like you're trying to get away with something even though you may have just forgot to fill out the.
Absolutely, and regulators do bear responsibility to really play a part in making sure that the industry members that they regulate are appropriately licensed and are caring for decedents and for the public in the most compliant way that they can. But the state has no interest most times in making sure that licensees maintain compliance, because when the licensees don't, then the state gets to discipline the licensee and levy fines, which can be significant well into 5 figures sometimes.
Wow. And the other thing that I wanted to comment on is it never occurred to me that there's a new way to do cremation. We ran a story last year about fetal remains and how, some crematories were saying, well, we don't do that, or you shouldn't bother, or, it was really kind of from the mother's perspective. But I mean, I'm an old person, and then, we lost a child very long ago. I mean, and a premature child, 100 years ago, and they were like, "Yeah, we'll take care of it." It was just, it wasn't even, it wasn't on our radar as something to do. But it just occurred to me that it is now. It's something has to be done with this, and everybody has to kind of learn a new way to do cremation, which is one of the oldest ways of getting rid of bodies. So it's weird to have a new wrinkle.
Absolutely. And it's tragic whenever a pregnancy is lost for whatever reason at whatever stage. So I'm sorry to hear about that. But prior to the Dobbs decision, fetal remains basically were handled by the hospital, and the parents did not have to concern themselves with that outcome of a miscarriage, or if the woman chose to terminate the pregnancy, with the outcome of that. But following Dobbs, that is now the responsibility of the mother, or of the mother and the father of the fetal remains, sometimes still of the hospital. I mean, it's all over the place. What the laws have done and where they are is really all over the place. And licensees simply do not know what to do when they come into possession of fetal remains. So we have been doing a lot to try and educate on that point. And I believe we had a piece in one of your magazines, maybe a year or so ago.
Yeah, it was like a back and forth, because one was in American Cemetery and the other one was in American Funeral Director. And
yes,
it was all kind of right pow pow.
Yep.
Like a 1-2 punch. Excellent. Well, thank you for that. And I do want to ask, what do you hope to get? What do you hope happens as part of the advisory board? Where do you see the advisory board succeeding?
Oh, I'm super excited to be a part of the advisory board. First of all, I am joined by some of the most high quality folks in death care. So very excited to work with the other people that have been appointed to the advisory board. So I think bringing together these varied points of view can really bring something refreshing to the offerings that Kates-Boylston brings to our industry, which are already fantastic, but everything can always use a new look and a refresh. I hope to bring to the board my extensive experience in interacting with various publications and conferences and platforms that inform and educate the death care community. And I've got a good bit of experience with what has gone well and also with what has gone not well. So I'm hoping to be able to contribute in that way, in addition to just my 32 years of practice as a regulatory death care lawyer.
Excellent. Well, thank you so very much for your time, and I'll see you at the meeting next week. We're recording in early February. This probably won't be out until March.
Well, as you know by now, we didn't make March, as it is April 2nd when this came out. And also, Wendy gave me a very gracious goodbye that I accidentally cut off on the tape, but I got to hear it, and there's no need for you to just hear me accidentally hitting stop. So we're going to call it an end of the show today right here. This bonus episode of Brief Introduction has been a Kates-Boylston production. It was written and edited by me, Tony Russo. Please subscribe wherever you're listening now. And if you have any feedback, I'd love to hear it. You can just click on my email address at the end of this episode and send along whatever you'd like. If you'd like to call and leave a voice message, my phone number is 732-746-0233, extension 709. That is 732-746-0233, extension 09. Call, leave a message, and if you want me to play it back and it is appropriate, I'd be happy to. If you just want to leave me a message and not have me play it back, I would still love to hear whatever feedback you have, whatever way you want to send it. And that will do it from this time. I will check in with you on Friday.